This Tuesday installment of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. What's your sport? Hockey, basketball, baseball, football, maybe even wrestling. You can get them all at firstroundcollectibles.com. And right now, with promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. That's right. Pick your sport, pick your card, pick your 10% discount with the code Sports Addict on firstroundcollectibles.com. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever mind.
And we're live on a Tuesday, Pucks Across Borders on Total Apex Sports and Sports Addict Live with the homies, Andre and John. At the top of your screen is Andre. You read his work on Gridiron Heroics and Winners and Whiners about the NFL. You see him and hear him on Total Apex Sports talking NBA, talking NFL. Andre, how we feeling on a Tuesday afternoon, my brother?
Feeling pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm getting kind of used to being next to you, being on top, John. So, fuck it.
Does it throw you off? Does it feel like throws you off your groove, so to speak?
No, I'm kind of getting used to it. You know,
All right.
I'm rocking with it, John. I think I just took your spot.
My sense of vision's getting warped down here.
Well, I think the two guys who agree the most and the Lone Ranger on the bottom, I think it's fitting. And speaking of which, you read his work on Gridiron Heroics about the NFL as well. John, how are you, man?
Doing all right, man. Guys, can we end the month of January already? I feel like this has gone too long as is, especially with barely any hockey left at this point until the All-Star break.
How do you guys feel about that? Like what they've done with this? Like, are you guys down with this? Like staggered bye weeks, and at first I didn't really think about it, and now I'm over it. If we're being honest, I think it's stupid. That's my hot take.
I'm not liking this. Yeah, I'm not liking this, honestly, especially because like this is just a slow week for sports in general.
Yeah.
I feel like the NHL could take advantage of this week.
Yeah, it just feels like a big tease. Not a fan.
That's how I feel too, John. Like the NHL is the like little brother to all these sports. Maybe even like that like degenerate cousin that like no one really talks about. He's there, but everyone's like kind of worried about him. It's like the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? Christmas dinner. That guy at the end of the table, up to some stuff. I feel like that's the NHL to all these big sports. And now that they're not like around, like the NFL has 2 weeks off. Baseball obviously is in its slow season. Although the Blue Jays got Justin Turner, watch out. We're ready to take over the AL East with that DH signing. We didn't get Ohtani, but we got the next thing, next best thing. I agree with you, man. This is prime opportunity for the NHL. And then the other side of it too is, oh, we can't go to the Olympics because like players will get hurt, but also like we don't want to take money out of the owners' pockets. It's like, what are we doing here? It's just basically the same thing. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. All right. We'll briefly touch on last night. One game in the NHL. Ottawa beating Nashville 4-3. Nashville quick 3-0 lead. And Ottawa, they come back, tie it up at 3, win the game in overtime. So I'm annoyed, boys. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm annoyed by Ottawa. I'm annoyed. Last week, I told you guys this is what they do. They suck and they play well below expectations. And then the last half of the year, they turn it on. Hopes are up. And it's starting and it's driving me nuts. But I wanted to know what you guys thought about this. We don't have to talk about this for too long, but I thought this was really interesting. So, Dave Poland and S.O.S and these guys were talking about how Ottawa wants to bring in more mature players. They want to bring in more established veterans, guys like Giroux, who have been there, done that, can bring more stability, some more leadership to the lineup, some more maturity. And last night after the win, Brady Tkachuk says, yeah, I think this win really just shows that we've really gained maturity over the year. Earlier in the year, we would have lost that game, but we've like whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of this whole thing with Ottawa. Like, now you're mature because you bounce back. And listen, Brady, if you're listening, I don't want to fight you, man. Like, you'll probably kill me. If he punched me once, I think I'd probably die. If Brady Tkachuk punched me in the face, it would probably be over for me. But to me, this was the season for you guys to finally do some damage. This was the season for you to finally get over the hump. And you've done nothing with it. And you're quite literally at the bottom of the league in the standings. And a come from behind victory against Nashville. It was a very inspired performance, and it was a very good comeback. And the Torpedo went in the net halfway through the game and played lights out. But so what? So what? Like, now, nothing Ottawa does matters to me until October. Like, I don't care. I refuse to get sucked back into this. I was so high on them coming into the year. And I don't really care. It was cool. It was awesome. Batherson got over 2.5 shots, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool. But yeah, don't care. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on last night's game? It's the Los Angeles Kings playoff hopes, or not playoff hopes, but their time in the playoffs was pushed to at least one more day. Might be over by tomorrow night, but at least the Kings wild card safe and secure, at least for another day.
Yeah. Game was kind of interesting in just how sharply momentum turned for your Canadian countrymen. But, Predators Kings is tomorrow. I think that's the game of this tease week, if you will. So
yeah,
nothing much to take away from it other than Nashville letting a point get away.
Yeah, this feels like there's more to discuss on Nashville than Ottawa, because mainly because I think Ottawa's still like 17 points back of Detroit anyway, even with that win. So I don't know. There's not. It just feels too little, too late for them. As
Yeah.
far as like, as far as like Nashville goes, yeah, that was a big loss for them last night. I do feel a little shaky with them right now. During our New Year's show, I felt I was leaning towards them making the playoffs. I'm a little less confident now at the end of the month than I was back then. I still don't quite know who I would have taken their place, but I just don't feel like they're a strong wild card right now, you know? Or, one of the fringe teams in general, because they might have got, I think they're still out of it technically.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about the West more tomorrow and which teams make it in. I still do really like this Nashville team for the reason that like we've said it, and specifically Andre has said it all year, the Nashville Cockroaches, man. Like they're gonna be hovering around this thing for the rest of the year. Also, I don't know if you guys saw Dylan Larkin's comments from the Red Wings. They were asking him about the Ottawa game tomorrow night, and they've developed a tiny rivalry over the last few years. And they were asking him about like Ottawa and like, why is this rivalry? Like, what are you guys looking at tomorrow? Blah, 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 blah. And he says about this Ottawa team, and the reporter made some comment about how they are where they are in the standings and Detroit is where they are in the standings, basically saying Ottawa sucks and you guys are playing pretty well. What do you think? And Dylan Larkin goes, that team, they're just trying to get wins. And if they can get on a run, you never know what can happen. And it's like, excellent showmanship, Dylan. Great job, man. Very impressed. There's no way that you think that Ottawa's making it to the playoffs, but I appreciate the candor. I really do. All right, Andre, is there anything that has caught your eye in the NHL in the last few days leading up to this All-Star break?
Other than the team captains and their celebrity co-hosts for the All-Star game, I have to go with the little mini discussion we kind of had. We didn't get to do in depth, but Elmo had that tweet the other day where he was like, "Hey everyone, how's it going?" And everyone just responded with meme answers. And the Arizona Coyotes, the lovable team they are, said, "Just need a Stanley Cup and a home. But other than that, we're good." And well, expansion's been in the air for a bunch of sports lately.
Yeah.
So we were kind of talking about some teams that lost, some cities that lost teams, some cities that could be in a position to get one back. What different sports? We went a bunch of different places, none too in depth though. I don't know. I'm just curious. Is Arizona gonna stay? Where would they go if they didn't stay? Who needs a team next? And then you brought up your Canadian, I guess your Quebecois franchises, if you will.
Yeah.
You had the little head-to-head battle between Quebec and Montreal for sports. So a lot of interesting discussion came from the Coyotes playing in Arizona State.
Yeah, first of all, John, let's go with you, man. Does Arizona stay, and where are they going?
I don't think they're staying. Mainly because the reason why I don't think they're staying is we talked about this pre-show. Mark, I do agree with you that Bettman is going to do everything he can to keep that team in Arizona. I think we both agree he could be stubborn. But
Yes.
The main reason why I don't think it's going to work because there's going to come a point where Arizona just can't play in that arena anymore. And I don't think the state or that area is going to give them the money for a new arena. I just don't see it. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like I believe they're planning on giving the money to the Diamondbacks or something, or like some money towards a refurbishment at some point. So I think that's going to be an issue, especially now that the Diamondbacks recently made a World Series run. I gotta fact check some of this, but I remember in the baseball world, like the Diamondbacks had issues with their stadium being on the older side for the more modern stadiums. So like they were in need of renovation soon. So I think they're trying to like save money for that as well because they want to keep the Diamondbacks here. I don't
Yeah.
think they're gonna have enough money for both. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm skeptical that Arizona is going to help out with this. So I feel like the NHL would have to dump even more money into that team to like keep them in the area. And I just don't. It. I got to be honest. It's just embarrassing. As much as we like to joke about it, it's embarrassing that they're playing in a 5,000 seat arena for multiple years at this point. And if it wasn't for the Oakland A's, we'd probably be talking about this a lot more in sports, in the sports world in general. I just feel like with Utah and Houston being legitimate options for relocation, I don't think this team is much long. I don't think this team is long for Arizona. I just don't.
Yeah, like I said in the pre-show, I do think that I really do think that Bettman will do everything he can do to keep them there. I really do because he has. I do think that Arizona has a problem with the fact that they're not in Phoenix, right? Like now with where they are with university, but their old arena, like that's not in Phoenix. It's the same problem. The Ottawa Senators have the same problem. Like they're in Canada, which is like outside of Ottawa, and it's difficult to get to. And if you watch Ottawa games, they're rarely full because it's just not a convenient location. So if a Canadian hockey team has that problem, then a Phoenix based hockey team will also have that problem. And so if they can get an arena in a good location, I still would like to see this work. And I think that Bettman has a bit more invested than I do. I don't know. Maybe you guys know this. I should probably know this, but I don't know. The reason why I don't think they will be moved. So I wish that I actually researched this more because I don't know like if Utah like moving a team and expanding the league are different, right? If Arizona moves somewhere, that's one thing. But if Utah wants a hockey team, then that ownership group that's behind the whole Utah purchase, they're paying the league $1 billion. Same with Utah, same with wherever it is, Quebec City, whatever. $1 billion, which is a lot of money, clearly. But if Arizona moves, I don't know if the league is making that money. So I do feel like strictly, and this, listen, there are people who know way more about this stuff than I do. I have to do deeper research on this. I just feel like from a financial perspective, like making the money, if you can get $1 billion expanding the league and you're not making money moving a team, I feel like they're going to try to expand before they move. And I don't like it. I think 32 is the perfect amount. I think 16 is perfect. I think that the league is already saturated. I think that like the bottom teams are like bottom. And then you have like Boston and Vancouver and well, even like without Vancouver, I think everyone thinks that the Canucks are over achieving this year, but Colorado and Dallas, whatever. But then the middle is so middle. Like the middle is huge. And I don't think that we need more players in this league. I don't think we need another team in this league. I think 32 is more than enough, and we're in danger of putting out a bad product, to be quite honest. That's my opinion. But yeah, just from the $1 billion number, I feel like they're going to expand before they move. I think it's just inevitable. And let's be real, too. The NHL has been on the forefront with this. Like, they were the first ones to go to Vegas, to go back to Seattle. We've been waiting for the NBA to do that for years, right? And the NHL was the first to go back. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I don't know.
I've always been curious as the Coyotes, and I don't know the politics of Arizona, but the Coyotes haven't moved back into what is now known as Footprint Center, home of the Phoenix Suns, among other teams. Why they just haven't moved back? It doesn't really make sense to me. There is an arena in Phoenix already.
I think I can answer that a little bit for the Suns thing. So, Andre, you remember the situation that the Islanders had with Barclays Center back when they played there? That's basically the situation with the Coyotes and the Phoenix Suns arena. I think there was an attempt to move there temporarily, but I think the way the stadium's configured that they can't really do a hockey arena there that well. I don't know the exact issue, but I've heard it's very similar to Barclays Center, which is why they don't play where the Suns are right now. I remember the old Coyotes arena, I think was right by the Cardinal Stadium in Glendale, if I'm not mistaken. I listened to something from a big Arizona Coyotes fans podcast, and this was a year or so ago. I think the way they were explaining it was it works for the Cardinals because it's only 8 games a year on Sundays. But what Mark was saying earlier about that being 41 times a year and you have to go during the week during rush hour, it makes it a lot more difficult with the older stadium that they used to play in. I think that was a big reason why they moved out of there in the first place, or got kicked out, so to speak.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think that's an issue. I wish they could just play in the Suns arena. That would make things a lot easier for everybody, I would think. But I think it's a configuration issue with how big an NHL rink is compared to a basketball court.
It's just
the way that stadium was made.
Yeah. Arena. It's just strange because they did for 8 years, when they first were in Phoenix. I don't know. And I know Glendale has more space and it's just outside of Phoenix, but it's just, I don't know, it's strange to me that Footprint Center is not viable for hockey. I understand what you're saying, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But why would you renovate it to make it or less useful? I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised though. Looking at the map of teams, I think honestly Arizona, for division, just for the sake of the division, they kind of stick out like a sore thumb in the Central, especially compared to how the Pacific is aligned, how the Metro is aligned, and the Atlantic has the 2 Florida teams, so it's otherwise pretty tight too. Arizona just kind of stands out to me. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston or even Salt Lake City is a better option. Is where they end up. Just for that.
Well,
part of me thinks they were put in that division for that reason, for an easy relocation.
Yeah, maybe. I do think that they are the only real team that would move. Yeah. What other team in the NHL right now would you move? The Ducks do well. The Sharks, watch those Sharks games, man. The Sharks have a very loyal fan base. They're not going anywhere. Both those teams have been around for a few years more than Phoenix was. Obviously, Seattle just got there. Vegas just got there. And I mean, Vegas has been successful ever since they got in the league. You look at the bottom of the standings, like Chicago is clearly not going anywhere. Minnesota, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're basically a Canadian market. They're not going anywhere. Uh, I mean, Columbus does very well. I don't know who now. Columbus needs to start winning. Like they need to start getting into the playoffs because they've been around for a long time with very little playoff success, and who knows how sustainable that is. But I mean, Ohio can clearly sustain hockey. I have no doubt that if there is a team to move, it will be the Coyotes. I just think that Gary Bettman has fought this fight for so long that I would be shocked. I actually would be shocked if they leave. I really would. Really would. This leads me to the question that I asked in the pre-show that you alluded to earlier, Andre. Speaking about relocating teams or expansion or whatever, I know it's been a conversation in the States and especially a conversation in Canada. What market needs a team more? Does Montreal need a baseball? I almost said basket or basketball, like the movie. Does Montreal need? Oh, phenomenal! Does Montreal need a baseball team more, or does Quebec City need a hockey team more? I said baseball. I don't, as far like for Montreal, I don't know a ton about the hockey in Quebec City situation. What I do know is corporate presence is a million times stronger than in Montreal than it is in Quebec City, and I think that matters. I think that baseball, the Expos being ripped from Montreal is still like a massive wound. Like that still stings. Where Quebec City, not to say it was forgotten about, but it seemed kind of inevitable at the time. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
There was something you said earlier that actually swayed me into the Expos' favor. Surprisingly, you didn't do it on purpose at all. It was bringing up the Justin Turner signing. The
What? All right.
MLB free agency seasons, the money moving, all that stuff has been really slow lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think with an extra two teams, there would be more competition for MLB caliber players. Guys get signed quicker. Guys might get a little extra money. We're not seeing the freaking NL Cy Young winner for this season does not have a team. Pitchers and catchers report in 2 weeks. Like, guys aren't getting signed. Contracts aren't moving. If you add two teams, finding MLB caliber players that are positive in WAR that you want on the field are going to be harder to come by. Yes, but also means these guys get signed more. There are plenty of guys that belong on a professional baseball diamond at this point because there's plenty of prospects that sit in the minors a little longer than they need to because, politics, service time manipulation, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So and there's like
I think it's
100 rounds in the draft.
Yeah,
there's like 100 draft picks. There's a lot of draft picks. Sorry, Andre.
There's no shortage of baseball players. It's basically
100% right. 100% right.
Mix and match arms. They mess with rosters, who's up, who's down all the time. The Expos or Montreal loved the Expos. They were beloved. When they have those exhibition games in spring training in Montreal, the fans go crazy for the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
I said Quebec before. You flipped me by bringing up Justin Turner. The Expos need a team. Baseball needs to add 2 more.
I'm such a master manipulator that I didn't even know that I was doing it. I do it subconscious now. Um, yeah, and I mean, listen, Montreal, like they're gonna need a new stadium. Like Olympic Stadium is like not good. There's problems with that place. And I mean that's where they played back in the day, and it's still there. But like the Montreal Alouettes for the CFL, they play at McGill University. Which if you're a CFL team, a university where you sell out every game, that is awesome. NHL team, it's cute. It's been cute, but it's gonna get old pretty fast. Um, yeah. What do you think about that, John? Before we move on, Quebec
I
City
tend to
for
have
hockey or Expos for Montreal?
I tend to have a soft spot for Quebec City. I
Yeah.
remember over a decade ago at this point, the Quebec City Nordiques fans were like doing it around the league tour. I think this was back in 2011 or 2012. They were doing it around the league tour to protest the fact that they lost their team. I think 15 or 20 years after it happened. And the reason I bring it up is because I went to the game that they came to New Jersey, and they filled like half the arena with Nordiques fans. It was an irrelevant Devils game by that point of the year, but
That's pretty
I
cool.
I
I didn't
happened to
know
take
about that.
notice of it, not really knowing much about their team at the time because I was a very young fan back then. But that game made me really learn about what happened to them, and I got behind their cause. I really felt like the fans deserved a team. I don't know a single fan base that would go to those lengths more than a decade after they lost the team in the first place to protest the fact they're not getting one. And I think Quebec City has been teased for quite a while around the hockey world. They're always in the discussion about relocation and expansion rumors. Montreal for baseball too. They've definitely been some teases for that. Uh I personally feel like Quebec City has the more passionate fans. I don't know if they have the market to keep up in the modern day age, but I think they have a small but loyal fan base for sure. Those guys are diehards.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Montreal would get a baseball team back even with expansion, but I might say the same thing about Quebec City at this point. Like, I do think baseball is going to expand, but they've been waiting, in my opinion at least, for the A's and the Rays to settle their stadium situations to gain leverage on those cities. So I feel like once those two get settled, we'll start to get some serious talk about expansion. But I still don't think Montreal's going to end up back in the baseball world.
It's hard to say. It's been teased for a long time. I mean, listen, as far as the Tampa Bay Rays go, any team that makes it to the playoffs every single year and still has less than half attendance, even in a playoff game, get them out of there. What are we doing? It's ridiculous.
I hated their new stadium move, man. It frustrated
Drives
me
me
as a baseball
nuts.
fan because, like, they're building a new stadium right next to the current one. When every local I've ever met complains about the location of the stadium being a big issue because they're on like
Yeah.
the wrong side of the bridge in that city.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. And also, just real quick to go back to the Nordiques, you guys have heard me talk about it a lot. I love me some jerseys. I love me some logos. I have a soft spot in my heart for that Nordique swag and the Hartford swag.
Wait, I got
Those the Whalers and the Nordiques, man. I love those two color schemes. I love those logos. I love it, and I want them both back so badly. I feel like Hartford is on the long list of places that's going to get an NHL team back. I don't see that happening in Hartford. But yeah, I would love to like. I would love to see a team go back to Quebec City. I just don't. Just corporate wise, it's not a huge place. I don't know. I don't see it really. And a convenience store lady gave me a hard time one time in Quebec City. I was trying to buy batteries, but I wouldn't speak. Not that I wouldn't speak French. Hey, that beak is
Wow.
flat. That is
Yeah,
a
because it's
sweet
tight.
beak.
It's
Yeah.
really tight.
Tried to buy batteries in Quebec City once, and because I didn't speak English, the girl behind the counter gave me a hard time. Yeah, man, it's dope. The color's dope. The logo's dope. Although the proportion that logo on the front is almost as big as the Rangers' third jersey. It's
This
pretty.
particular hat's seen better days. I've had it for almost 10 years at this point.
I love it. I love it. All right, we're gonna pivot. And quickly, just a quick update, negative update, unfortunately. Now this might not be breaking news. My phone was dead for a long time and it just turned on. So I'm not gonna tell everybody about my cell phone struggles. But that is the case. But according to my phone, breaking news: Michael McLeod of the Devils has been charged with sexual assault, and we have found out that all the players who were on leave were, in fact, up in London for that reason. So all the speculation of last week, it just seemed we wanted to be careful, of course, with how we worded it. Didn't want to assume anything, but unfortunately, it was too easy to put those dots together. And yeah, so that's an update, at least with the Michael McLeod situation. All right, we're going to take a 2-second break, and we're going to get back into picks. Busy night in the NHL, 2 games. We will do that. We will do that next.
All I hear, go get the money. So I go get it. Hate means I do something right. So I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear, go get the money. So I go get it. Hate means I do something right. So I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah.
All right, we have 2 games in the NHL tonight. All right. Starting us off in St. Louis. Columbus is in town. A couple tough losses in a row for this team. Sorry, boys. My laptop, a world of its own. Here we go. Plus 130 on the road against St. Louis. St. Louis is minus 155. Blues puck line minus 1.5 at plus 150. On the Columbus side of the puck line, plus 1.5 is minus 180. Over 6.5 at minus 120, and the under at plus 100. John, good move with the backwards hat, by the way. Flip that around. Looks great. You look great. Is your analysis on this game going to be great? We'll find out. What do you see? Yeah, it's a great question. I know. What do you see in this game tonight?
I realize St. Louis is playing pretty hot right now, which I'd imagine is why they're this big of favorites on the money line tonight. I feel like it's a little too rich for my blood. even despite them playing well of late, I don't quite trust them on the puck line, which creates a bit of a dilemma for me because I swear Columbus is probably one of the most inconsistent teams in the NHL. So I I do think this 6.5 total is pretty high considering these are two of the bottom, say, 10 teams in the league, I think, in goals per game. So I realize Columbus in particular gives up a lot of goals with the second worst goals per game as well. But considering neither of these teams even average 3 goals a game and both of their power plays are under 16%, I'm feeling like this is going to be an under game. And I think for if I'm leaning towards one bet in this game, it would be the under 6.5 for Columbus and St. Louis. Yeah.
Interesting. I think we disagree already, but I'll save that. I'll tease that. Andre, where are you at in this game, man? What do you see?
I hate this because I very strongly feel that the Blues are going to win, but with the way they've been playing, it's probably going to be a 4-3 game in overtime. So there's no right way to get some value out of them. They've won 5 in a row. They've won 4 in a row by a final score of 4-3. They've won 3 in a row by a score of final score of 4-3 in overtime. So
wait, the overtime has been 3 in a row as well?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I missed that.
So 60-minute line's not looking good. Puck line's not looking good. Minus 155 is a little too juicy to just bet on.
Yep.
I don't really know what to do. Because I'm not picking Columbus. I'll tell you that right now. They beat the Blues once. They're not doing it again. I feel very strongly about that. So I guess take the over 6.5 and just expect it to be 4-3 and live with that. Because I don't really see any value in picking a side here. Unless I bet on a draw or a 60-minute draw. But that's where my head's at with this one.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. I think betting an over is a bet for St. Louis. Like, that's kind of my way to get some value out of this. I'm with you. I don't love the 60-minute line just because this team goes to overtime all the time. I don't like the puck line because Columbus, talk about a team, a cockroach team. That's Columbus, at least in the last couple months. I like the over 2. Like you were saying, 4-3 in a million straight games, lots of overs there. Columbus has allowed, so Columbus is 4-10 since Christmas. They've allowed 4+ goals in 9 of those 14 games. 4+ in 9. So I can see them allowing quite a few goals tonight. A couple props that I really like. Marchenko for Columbus, 123 shots over the course of 47 games. Over 2.5 is plus 100 for him to hit over 2.5 shots tonight. 3 or 4 shots in his last 4 games, 4 out of his last 5 games. So he's been shooting the puck a lot in the last week and a half or so. And I like him to shoot over 2.5 shots tonight, a plus 100. On the St. Louis side, like you said, Andre, 4 straight games, 4 straight 4-3 games, 5-game winning streak total. Kyrou, 5 points, 2 goals in his last 5 games, 3+ shots for him in 3 of his last 4. 156 shots on the season total. Over 3.5 is plus 120. Thomas, 8 points in 5 games. Buchnevich, I butchered that. Buchnevich, 7 points, 4 goals in his last 5 games. So I like his point total. I like his goal scoring. He's been putting the puck in the back of the net. But Kyrou on the shots is probably my favorite prop from the St. Louis side. And yeah, give me the over at minus 120. All right, San Jose. Our boys, they're back. They're at home. They're plus. Is this disrespectful to Seattle? I know that Seattle is minus 238, but the fact that San Jose is not plus 200 or higher, is that disrespect to Seattle? Is that what I'm seeing? Kraken minus 238 on the road. San Jose plus 195 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Kraken is plus 110. Plus 1.5 for the Sharks is minus 130. The over is 6 at plus 100, and the under is minus 120. Andre, we'll start with you, man. What do you see in this game tonight?
I think Vegas believes in the tank. And wouldn't you know, with this Sharks team, I know they lost Saturday, but they had 3 straight wins before that, and 2 of them were over teams currently in a playoff spot. Don't look at the way that they're playing right now. So there's reason to feel good about the San Jose Sharks and their 3 recent wins in the state of California. That being said, very disrespectful towards the Kraken, who are a top 10 team at keeping the puck out of the net this season. Solid but unspectacular when it comes to special teams. Scoring has been an issue for most of the season, but they have 13 goals in their last 3 games. You can work with that. I like the Kraken here. I know that's not saying anything outrageous, but I feel comfortable taking Seattle minus 1.5 in this one. I feel comfortable with the under hitting because I don't trust San Jose to score on this team. We'll see how the few days off helps them compared to Seattle. I mean, Seattle has the same amount of time off, roughly, but they did have to fly down. So we'll see how that affects either team. But I like Seattle. I like the under. So Seattle minus 1.5 and under.
John, what about you, man? What do you see here?
I've been looking at both the total and a side here. I agree with the under, mainly because both of these teams average, I don't even think they average 5 goals a game combined. That's mainly because of the Sharks, but still, Seattle's not much better there. I do feel like Seattle could be had. I don't really agree on the puck line pick. I know their goaltending is definitely more solid, but I can't get over the fact that weird things tend to happen in the Shark Tank. And the Sharks have won 3 of their last 4 games. So I'm debating about how bold I'm going to go here because I think at minimum I'm picking the Sharks puck line at plus 1.5 because I've seen that at minus 130. That's tempting. That's the safe play. Or do I just go crazy and pick a Sharks outright win at like plus 195? That's really what I'm debating with the second pick. I do really like the under 5.5 though. Either way, I think at minimum I'm taking the Sharks puck line, but I'm really tempted to throw it on the money line as well. But the goaltending difference does worry me a bit there to go all the way with it. But I do like the way the Sharks are playing to at least think about it.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling a Kraken minus 1.5 tonight too as well. I can see don't get me wrong, John. This isn't the usual like me making fun of you because you disagree with me. I can 100%. Can I see San Jose giving a team better than them a hard time and losing by 1 goal or even winning? Sure, I can. That's San Jose to a T, man. But I just think the Kraken have been playing really well lately. I know that it's Columbus that they beat the other night, but that was a really solid win. Really, really well-rounded victory for them. Their big boys are starting to contribute more. Eberle has had kind of a down season to his standards. 3 goals, 7 points in the last 5 games for him. McCann, 3 goals, 7 points in his last 5 games. I really like the way that this Kraken team has been winning. They are 2-5 since their winning streak. They've outscored their opponents 13-8 in the last 3 games. So I know 2-5 in the last 7 since the streak, not super compelling, but they've been playing better lately. When you win 9 in a row, you catch some breaks. And when you go 2-7 after that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've fallen off as much as it means that you're not getting the breaks that you did earlier in the year. So I like the Kraken as well. I don't really want to touch the total just because are the Sharks going to score 3 or are they going to score nothing or are they going to score 1? Or, like you said, John, are we going to see that stupid Sharks game where the Sharks win like 2-0 and Seattle does nothing? So I don't like the total in this one either way at all. But I do like the Kraken. Still getting a little bit of plus money at -1.5. All right. That is it. That is it for the games tonight. I will say this, by the way. I have a ticket. I went old school. I don't know. Do you guys have like actual physical tickets that you can buy at like convenience stores and stuff for sports picks? Like, do you guys have that? Or is it only like lottery and stuff that you guys can do down there?
Not in like any store, but like at a racetrack or a sports book, they do give those out.
Yeah.
So I did a little fun because you know how it is nowadays. Like I grew up with these, tickets, and now it's all apps, and we use all the odds that we have on here are all from DraftKings and FanDuel and MGM and all these other stuff. And I'm a degenerate, and I have every book. But every once in a while, I like to get a little real ticket. St. Louis money line tonight. Seattle -1.5. Detroit tomorrow over Ottawa. Nashville over Los Angeles. And San Jose +1.5 against the Ducks. So $5 paying out $72. A little fun 2-day 5-game parlay. That's what you get to do when there's no hockey on. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. And this ticket is so old school, it doesn't even give me the total odds. I don't even know what the total odds are, but it's $5 to pay out 72. So who knows? You guys can do the quick math in your head if you want. All right, John, we'll go to you first, man. A bit more to pick to choose from tonight than last night. What do you like as a best bet?
Got double the selection tonight. Okay. I'm a little tempted to do something crazy with the Sharks. I kind of feel differently about them here. I like to at least cover the puck line here. I don't know if I'm gonna go that way. I'm gonna say Sharks +1.5. That would be. I don't know if that's gonna directly conflict with. I don't know if that's gonna directly conflict with someone here, but I'm feeling the Sharks' performance at the Shark Tank tonight. I'm not feeling like Seattle can score enough to beat them by 2.
All right. It's not going to conflict with my best bet on here. It will conflict with the ticket that I just showed the whole world. But you know what, John? No big deal. No problem. Now the whole world thinks I'm a fool, but no big deal. Andre, we'll go to you, man. I mean, listen, John, I can't argue with you. I do think that Seattle is going to beat them by 2. But like you said, man, we see friggin' stupid things at the Shark Tank. It happens all the time. So yeah, happens all the time. Andre, where are you at for your best bet?
Yeah, John can't stop me. I'm going Seattle -1.5.
Whoa!
We got
John
no
can't
parlay
stop me.
today.
It's pretty much the only bet I really love on the slate today.
Yeah.
So
This might be a
today has
first.
to be the day.
I think that's a first for the show.
Kraken -1.5.
Head to head.
That's so funny. Well, I'm not picking a side or a total for my best bet. So the viewers, you pick which one of these bozos you wanna you wanna tail. These two guys going opposite. Pick which one you want to tail, and then add my parlay or my pick to it, and then go from there. That's so funny. I think you're right, John. I think that's a first time that we've had opposing picks on our best bets. Nothing wrong with that. A little controversy. I don't know. You guys should make it real. Like right now, like a real bet. Just like $20 PayPal.
Yeah, John. I'm down for
I
that.
don't know if I'm that confident in them.
Oh, I'm that confident.
Come on,
move.
John.
Your move. Peer pressure.
All right. You have till the end of my pick to decide. And we're gonna put it out there. My best bet for tonight, like I was saying, Marchenko for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like I said earlier, 123 shots on the year, over 47 games. He has 3 or 4 shots in each of his last 4 games. So in every game, he's had 3 shots or he's had 4 shots. In 4 out of his last 5 games. So, 4 straight games and 4 out of 5. So I really like him to get over 2.5 shots at plus 100. That is my best bet.
John, did you decide yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. I feel like this is one of those things where if I agree to it, the Sharks are going to lose. And if I don't, the Sharks are going to win outright.
Well, they're allowed to lose.
They
No,
can
I mean,
lose by 1.
Yeah.
No, I mean lose my bet. That's what I meant.
Oh.
Well, listen, I just want to let you know that the Sharks don't care about you at all. And you do not matter in San Jose. I want
know,
you to
but
know.
the betting gods do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll
It's just
get
the way
you.
it works.
That's so funny. What'd you do for a parlay there, Andre? I feel like you're working some magic back there.
I'm not working magic. A little distracted. What was your best bet again?
Marchenko plus 1.5
Gotcha.
or plus 2.5. Sorry, odds.
No, I got a little thrown off my game. I'm not even gonna lie. I was just hoping John would feed me a little action.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go out sad tonight. It's fine. Why can I not find plus 1.5? I can't spell. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Well, so Mark, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to pick a side. You obviously can't parlay Kraken minus 1.5 and Sharks plus 1.5.
No, I mean, I personally think that Seattle minus 1.5 is the better play, personally. So I like minus 1.5 Seattle and Marchenko over 2.5 shots.
Well, that together is plus 320. So
Love it.
we can rock with that. We can we can isolate John again. It's all good.
Yeah, I love that. But then, hey, what is it with the Sharks bet? I want to know, just in case.
It gets worse. It goes down to plus 253. Just not as exciting.
Yeah, It's all right. It's not exciting, but
I'm just trying to sell the Kraken right here.
that's so funny, man. I love it. I love it. Well, we got one more game or one more night in the NHL before the All-Star break. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be talking about the East and the West, the teams on the outside of the playoffs looking in. Will they make or will they miss? We'll go over the odds. Los Angeles Kings, lots of plus money for them to miss the playoffs. Spoiler alert. And I love me some Kings missing the playoffs. The Red Wings are in the playoffs as of right now, and they're also plus money. We'll get into that. And 3 games on the slate. Good luck in your bets. Thank you so much for watching. Promo code SportsMatic, 10% off. GoShockCollectibles.com. We will see you tomorrow.